people that are teaching our youth, through the public system, the government system, whatever you want to call it, even private sector, like they don't necessarily get paid the most to teach kids. And then on the other hand, you have people that are public figures that are out there, Nicki Minaj, Snoop Dogg, and all these rappers and celebrities that are influencing the kids, but not necessarily in the best way, right? Do
Absolutely.
drugs, shake your ass, drive a fast car, F the police, and all this stuff that's coming from maybe what environment that individual grew up in, but for some reason that mentality is idolized and then commercialized and then sold and broadcasted to these kids that barely want to pay attention to school because their teacher's not getting paid enough to keep their attention. So now they're watching Snoop Dogg videos in the back, and then all of a sudden you see Nicki Minaj or somebody like that on these like MTV awards and all that, and you're like, oh my God, they're really doing it, and then on my end, I'm like, well, what's Viacom doing, having this guy influence kids? Don't you know what he does? So it's like, how does that, like, the kids gravitate towards that? So I know that there's a little bit of narcissism that the higher ups like in individuals to, promote that individual, I'm above the law type
Sure.
deal. Maybe you want to tap into that a little bit
I
right
mean,
here in it.
it's
So
the trickle down effect, like you were talking about, with going down to the suburbs and having influence on the kids that have no correlation to that type of mentality, that type of upbringing and whatnot. But it sells, and being marketed to kids is another way that kids are going to buy things. Kids are going to occupy the internet. Kids are going to be more susceptible to advertisements than adults would be, and people set in their ways. They set modern trends, and like you said, with the narcissism aspect, I mean, it goes everywhere. It's in politics, it's everywhere, and that's the problem with it. I mean, you see the Donald Trump with the NFTs, and people don't come to the reality that these people are making money. That's what they're doing. That's what their job is.
Yeah.
To be cool enough just to make money.
if you're not paying for the product, you're usually the product.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Exactly.
So I would love to ask you, like, straight up, like, what is that? Why is gang violence or stripping or dancing explicitly or getting in trouble and being above the law or outside the law, like, why is that so attractive to everyone?
Well, it's attractive to a certain base. Like, it's not
True.
attractive. It a lot of people the bad boy attitude comes with this lifestyle that they feel is unattainable unless you're bad boy. If you're not a gangster, if you're not this person who's got the fast cars and F the police and that kind of attitude, you're not going to get that the high up on that hierarchy. And if you're a guy who studies regularly and whatnot, how cool is that? You're not going to sell that to people. But what you can sell is this and this and these fast cars and fast women and stuff, because it's idolized in our society. It shows success. It shows that they've made it in one way, shape, or form.
In the most forward aspect, it's like it's all just a show. It's marketing. It's smoke and mirrors, and the people that are seeing that don't realize that it's smoke and mirrors.
Exactly.
So now when they go for guidance, they don't ask their teacher. They go and they watch a video of Tory Lanez or something, and then that's the way this is the way I should think or approach things.
Yeah, I read today a 14-year-old kid was gunned down in Georgia, and he was killed by a 16-year-old kid. And the whole thing took place over a social media beef that the two had. And then one showed up at a house with guns, and then they, left. And then that kid went back with his friends with their guns, and a bunch of people were shot. I think 3 people were shot, 2 people were killed. But I mean, here's your social media and your gang, type mentality. And then unfortunately, you see this stuff go, and it becomes, how they relate becomes real. All of a sudden you want that stuff, and then when the kid has a gun, now it is real. And now, now that whole lifestyle that, was acted upon by these actors, because that's what they are when they get older. Snoop Dogg is acting, like...
Publicly,
hey,
though.
Yes, publicly, and in everyone's eyes. These kids aspired to this, and here it is over social media, and now some kid's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. Because of a decision that he made at 14 years old.
Based on what he thought he should be idolizing, and that's what I'm saying. Why is that lifestyle idolized by most? It's so weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of the downfalls in our society is that, that the people that are out there, the Dr. Fauci's aren't being idolized by kids. They're not saying, or like, it's some scientist at Pfizer who's helping, save tons of lives by trying to come up with something.
They're actually almost demonized.
I know, yeah, and that's the whole point. So I mean, there was a time when I was in the late 90s when all my buddies were going to college and
Back in the
whatnot.
day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone started to swerve from the medical field to financial.
Sure.
And it was just because everyone's worried about the financial stability. And it's like, well, a doctor's going to get sued for X, Y, and Z, so let's steer more toward the financial districts. And a lot of my friends who were going to be doctors ended up going, and working on Wall Street.
Sure.
And I mean, it's about the money for them as well.